Is this still you in 2026? Every time you open an AI tool, you start from scratch. You explain who you are, you explain what you need, you paste in the same context and paste it in yesterday. Maybe you have some saved prompts that you copy paste in quickly, but this is not the point. And by doing so, the response comes back sounding like it was written by someone who's never met you. That's not a workflow, that's a jaw. In this video, I'm going to show you how Claude actually works, not the hype, the real product. I walk you through the 4 ways you can use it and how to set it up so Claude remembers you, writes like you and works like you on your actual files and content with all the context of your business in mind. I've been using Claude every day for the past year. I run my content, my client work and my team operations through it. This isn't me reading feature descriptions. This is what I actually use on a daily basis. And it is life-changing for any professional out there once you get the foundation right. I know what you're thinking. Why Claude? I already have ChatGPT. Or maybe you've tried Gemini. That's a fair question, and let me give you the honest picture. All of these tools have strengths. ChatGPT has custom GPTs where you build specialized personas with their own instructions and documents. OpenAI also released Codex, their coding tool, which can be compared to Claude Code. Keep this in mind when we get to this point later. Google has Notebook.LM, which is great for uploading documents and having conversations about them, and now connects with Gemini, so you have a wealth of context available. Gemini is strong at search. It's built into your Google workspace. So if you're working in a Google workspace, Gemini becomes really powerful. But Claude allows you to cross-connect any tools and bring in any context to build your very personal workstation on your local machine. But the point is, this isn't about Claude being the best at everything. It's about what Claude does differently. Claude was designed with professional workflows in mind. It writes the most natural long-form content of any AI tool I've ever used. And it has something no other mainstream AI tool has. A mode called Cowork that runs a professional-grade coding engine on your local files, accessible to non-developers. That's important. Finally, we are closing the bridge between a universe that was only available to coders to build a solution to any problem and the people who actually have the problems, so they can just build the things based on natural language. This is huge, and it is much easier than you ever thought. And Cowork closes the gap. You will see in the video why this is. So in ChatGPT, the custom GPTs, and Notebook.LM in Google give the AI context. Cowork gives you an active workspace that builds over time. That's the difference I want to show you. But here's the most important thing before we start. Claude is not a search engine. It's not a chatbot you visit when you have a random question. It's a coworker. You set it up, you brief it, you work alongside it. Once you get that distinction, everything I'm about to show you is going to click. So this is Claude Desktop. It's the app you install on your Mac or PC. And if you take one thing from this section of this video, it's this. Use the local app, not the browser. Think about the difference between working from your own office versus a hotel lobby. Both have Wi-Fi, both let you get some work done, but your office has your files, your printer, your filing cabinet, and your colleagues. The hotel lobby has a chair and a table. Claude in the browser is the hotel lobby. You can have a conversation, that's about it. Claude Desktop, the native application you can download, is your office. It gives Claude access to the files on your computer. It's where Cowork, skills, connectors, the Chrome extension, and everything I'm about to show you actually lives. So in Claude, we have 4 modes. 2 of them are where you'll spend 90% of your time as a professional. The other 2 are for developers and power users. I'll cover all of them quickly so you have the full map. Chat is the one you probably already know. It's most comparable with ChatGPT. Think about calling a colleague with a quick question. Hey, what's the best way to structure this proposal? That's chat. You type, Claude responds, back and forth. It's fast, no setup needed. You just open it and start talking. But obviously this colleague needs context. One thing worth knowing, when you ask Claude to create something structured in chat, like a document, a spreadsheet, or a presentation outline, it appears as an artifact. That's a visual, editable preview right inside the conversation. great for one-time outputs, a quick report, a draft template, a chart. Think of artifacts as whiteboard sketches. Useful right now, but they live in that conversation. They are not building up anywhere. But here's what most people get wrong. They treat chat as the entire product. They ask a question, get an answer, close the window, and think that's all Claude can do. Chat is one of 4 modes, and it's the most basic one. Projects is where Claude starts remembering. Imagine you hire an assistant and their first day you hand them a folder. Here's our brand guide, here's the 3 past proposals, here's how we talk to clients. From that point on, your assistant doesn't need to be rebriefed. They know the context. They work from that folder. That's a project. You create a workspace, give it a name, upload documents and set instructions. Every conversation inside that project starts with full context. But it's important to keep in mind, this context is static. It's not expanding based on your conversations. Except the memory part inside projects, which is very limiting. But there's something worth mentioning in this regard. You can connect Google Sheets and Google Docs to a project and they stay live. If the spreadsheet updates, next time you open the project, Claude has the latest version. Claude reads these documents as context. It uses them to inform its responses, but it doesn't modify them. Projects is read-only. It's your assistant's reference library. Start with 2-3 key documents and more as you work. The project grows with you. But think of projects having a dedicated use case, like you have in Notebook LM. You have a very specific use case, you upload something there, and then you have specialized agents, the experts in your team, who have all the relevant context there. Don't try to upload all the things that you have available in your business into one project because it's just confusing the AI and the output will become generic again. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If projects a reference library, Cowork is the workshop. You point Claude at a folder on your computer. You describe what needs to happen. Claude reads the files, does the work, and saves the results back to that folder. You match the whole thing in an activity log, like looking over someone's shoulder. Unlike projects, Cowork doesn't just read, it writes, it updates files, it creates new ones. The folder evolves over time. Instead of one-off whiteboard sketches like in chat, you're building something that accumulates. A prompt library, a running decisions log, a recurring report that gets updated every week. Here's a trick that changes everything. You can put a plain text file called CLAUDE.md inside any Cowork folder. It's an instruction file. Don't get intimidated by this file. It is just a text file with instructions for Claude. Think of it like the SOP for your team members, the standard operating procedure, so you get the same quality of output over and over again. Your preferences, your rules, your project context, all in one document. And then in Claude Cowork, tell it read Claude.md first and it loads your complete briefing before starting work. Different folders, different Claude.md files. MD stands for Markdown. You can open this file in any text editor. There's no code in there. It is natural language and that makes it so powerful and accessible for non-coders. So here's an example. You can have a folder for client proposals with one set of instructions, a folder for weekly reports, and a folder for content creation. Each one is a perfectly configured workspace ready to go the moment you open it in Claude Cowork. And exactly the same way, by the way, Claude Code works. And that's what I'm using on a daily basis. I'm using Claude Code in the terminal to do exactly these things, as I have an extended set of features I can use. But as I said, if you're just getting started and you're intimidated by all these things, Cowork is the sweet spot. And if you're worried about control, don't be. Claude asks permissions before anything destructive. It won't delete or overwrite files without checking with you first. And as I mentioned before, Cowork runs Claude Code under the hood. Claude Code is the professional coding engine that developers use in the terminal. It's powerful but intimidating if you're not technical. Cowork takes that same engine and wraps it in an interface anyone can use. That's why Cowork can do things that feel surprisingly sophisticated. Organizing complex folder structures, extracting data from screenshots, building formatted reports from scattered notes. It's not doing those tasks with basic chat logic. It's running a professional coding engine underneath. It builds its own little programs based on your requests. And this is mind-blowing. And in fact, we've built the entire My ICOR membership platform using Claude Code. And Cowork itself was built by Anthropic with Claude Code in under 2 weeks. That tells you something about what this technology can actually do and how reliable it has become. If you want the full setup with role-specific configurations, prompt libraries, and the exact folder structures I use, we've put all of it in a course called Cloud Mastery for Professionals. Link in the description. Let me know in the comments below. What's your status in AI? How are you using already Claude Cowork or even Claude Code? Now there are 2 more modes and I mentioned them throughout the video already, so I keep this section short. Claude Code is that coding engine I just mentioned, running directly in the terminal. If you're tech-savvy professional, it's worth looking into it too. But maybe if you never use any of this, start with Claude Cowork. Get the understanding, the foundations of how it acts on your folders and how it works. And then you dive a lot deeper using Claude Code if you want. And if you don't want, Cowork already gives you access to what it can do for most use cases that you might need it. But what is it when I run Claude Code in a terminal? Well, a terminal lets you run commands on your computer. If that sentence doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry about it. Think of these as the server room in your company. You don't need to go in there. Cowork already brings the power out to you. Now let's make Claude feel like your assistant, not a generic one. Think about the best new hire you ever had. On their first week, they took notes. They wrote down your clients' names, how you like reports formatted, that you hate jargon. After a few days, they stopped asking the same questions. They just knew. And memory in Claude is that notebook. It's where Claude stores long-term context about you, your role, your company, your preferences. This carries across every conversation and is stored on your Claude account. You tell Claude once that you're a marketing consultant who works with small businesses. From then on, every response reflects that. Most people skip this. They jump into asking questions, get generic answers and think AI isn't useful. At least if you keep going, it will automatically build this memory over time. But that's like hiring someone and never telling them what your company does. You can be proactive and go to the memory settings and fill in the blanks right from the get-go. Or, that's the more sophisticated way to do it, you have these CLAUDE.md files in your project folders where you build up this knowledge over time. And I will make another video where I show you from scratch how you can build these personal assistants just within a folder on your computer. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up in the next one. Now I want to talk about 3 features that extend what Claude can do. First, let's talk about skills. You already write SOPs, standard operating procedures, for your team. I hope so. Skills are your SOPs for Claude. When I ask for a meeting summary, format it like this and always include action items with owners. You write it once, Claude follows that process automatically from then on. Second, connectors. Imagine your assistant on day 1 with no access to anything, no email, no shared drive. They sit at a blank desk and wait for you to bring them documents. That's Claude without connectors. Connectors give Claude access to Google Drive, Slack, Notion, Todoist, all your note-taking apps like Heptabase, Tana, many more things. But also sophisticated automation platforms like Zapier. Start with one. Google Drive is the easiest. Claude out of the box allows you to connect to your Google Workspace and it's only reading. It's not actively writing. If you want to have this, you need to set up your own connectors. That's not something I will do in this video. But if you want to learn how to do this, join our community. There's all you need. And third, plugins. Plugins are Claude's specialist contractors. Pre-built, activated with one click. Productivity, marketing, sales, data. activate productivity, and Claude knows how to organize your week. You customize them in plain English. Pick one or two that match your role. However, I personally prefer to build them up from scratch because plugins are essentially just a bucket where you have a combination of skills and connectors, everything included. So it will be based on somebody else's use cases in a business. So that's why when we get the foundation right and the understanding how all this works under the hood, we can build this ourselves, all based on natural language, all within one folder. Now the superpower of Claude is that it can also access your Chrome browser and work on it like you would do. And you might have heard of the Chrome extension. If you just use the Chrome extension, it has no context at all. It has no access to your connectors or anything like this. We have to use it the other way around to really take advantage of this. So what is the Chrome extension? Imagine your assistant sits right next to you wherever you go. You're reading something on your screen and you turn to them. What do you think about this? They already know your projects, your preferences. That's the Chrome extension. It puts Claude on any web page. When you use it from Claude Desktop, it has your full project context. Claude will use this extension to get access to Chrome. Claude isn't reading a web page in isolation. It's connecting it to everything you've already set up. It will act on these websites in your name. So be careful what you let Claude do. Here's an example. You're looking at a competitor's pricing page. You ask Claude to compare it to your strategy. Claude can do that because your strategy document is already in a project or in the folder that you have opened in Cowork. As I said, we are diving a lot deeper into all these things inside my ICOR and our AI courses. So it's really worth joining if you're a professional who really wants to leverage AI in 2026 to start scaling your business or streamlining your workflows. So you finally can focus on what really matters at work. So before I wrap up, I want to show you where all of this is heading, because everything I've shown you so far connects. I already mentioned the connectors, and they're officially called MCPs, Model Context Protocol. These are external connectors that give Claude real-time access to live data. Your CRM, your calendar, web search, APIs, live spreadsheets, things that update constantly. And it also can update these external sources too. Now think about what that means when you put it all together. External context coming in through MCPs, local knowledge building up in your Cowork folders, your browser extension connecting everything to your projects. That's Claude knowing everything relevant at once. And you're in full control, not because you briefed it this morning, because your system is set up to feed it the right context automatically. And that's why it's so important to have tool agnostic systems in place. If your team is already properly running without friction and streamlined processes, having SOPs in place and a system that they rely on when it comes to project work, this is the moment to put AI on top. If this is not the case, you have to step back. You have to fix the foundations first. That's why in ICOR, our tool agnostic methodology looks at a productivity system in a business end to end. And for over 4 years, it's a business proven methodology to make businesses scalable. So from our perspective, AI is just another kind of automation that's much more flexible before. It's a merge between automation and a coworker. And if you never were able to have a personal assistant efficiently working for you, then AI won't do the trick. And that's why we always recommend to our members to go through the ICOR journey, our sophisticated like a pro courses going from digital note-taking, personal knowledge management, task management, project management, and automation like a pro first, before you then watch the AI like a pro course that is also tool agnostic inside our membership. This gives you really the full picture, lets you identify the gaps that you have based on our dynamic growth assignments that give you actual tangible results, because you always know what you're good at, what's already in place, and what still needs fixing. That's unique to our platform. We haven't seen anywhere else in the world. Just to keep this in mind, if you think AI assistants are not working for you, maybe you need to fix the foundation first. So now to wrap things up. If you are starting fresh today using Claude, download and open Claude Desktop. Set your memories and ask Claude to draft an email. Watch it come back in your voice. That's the moment it clicks. Then use Claude Cowork and a folder. Ask it to save what you discussed inside the folder. Play around with it. And then when you're ready and you see the first aha moments, take a step further and you dive really into leveraging AI for your specific work. We are running a whole AI team with different team members who have specific expertise, which are essentially all just local folders with Claude.md files under the hood that are talking to each other. You can really scale from there, and you will naturally do so with the foundations that you have in mind. So here's where you are now. You know the 4 modes. You know projects gives Claude your context and Cowork lets Claude act on it. You know how memory, styles and Claude.md files turn Claude into your assistant, and you've seen where this is all heading with MCPs. That's a complete foundation. You can set this up right now. But if you want to go deeper, watch the Claude Mastery for Professional course in our membership and join our community discussions or even our inner circle where our co-founder Park and I are personally there in our weekly coaching calls where we will answer all the questions that you might have for your specific work. As a final note, I want to briefly talk about privacy and pricing. We are no lawyers and we are not giving privacy and security advice because it's very specific for different companies and use cases. However, here are quick answers to the 2 questions every professional has. So for privacy, Claude Pro doesn't use your data for training. Cowork works on your local files. You control what goes in. Think of it as an NDA that's already signed. And for pricing, Pro at $20 a month will give you access to everything I've shown you in this video. The only thing that might make you access the max plan is when you hit a ceiling, when you hit the token limits or maybe other areas that we didn't cover in this video that might be not relevant for you yet. However, if you never started using Claude, start with this and figure out these ceilings to make then a proper decision why you upgrade your plan so you really understand the return of investment it's giving you. Just keep in mind, it's the difference between knowing what Claude can do and having a complete system that runs for you every day. All the details are linked below, and if you want to keep learning right now, watch this next video where I show you how to build your first Claude assistant from scratch, step by step. I catch you there.